Ketikoti, or breaking of the chains, is a potent symbol, a poignant reminder of the struggle-filled history that has defined the rich cultural mosaic of Suriname. An ex-Dutch colony in South America, this uniquely vibrant place is now a mixture of African, Asian, Dutch and indigenous culture.
So this is the famous Saramaccan road. If you're going anywhere in Suriname, the Saramaccan road is pretty much where you start. And the way you do it is by trucks like this.
The main roads, a few rough tracks, lead a small distance into the jungle where they meet the real lifelines of this country, the rivers. This was the route I'd take to Samoisi, one of the villages founded along the Suriname River by escaping slaves some 300 years ago. Known as marooned tribes, their chief, the Grand Man, has recently made decisions that some feel may have placed their way of life in jeopardy.
Songo Aboykone is the grammar. That's the grammar.
He had made a decision without consulting the captains, or?
Yes, yes.
And that decision effectively meant that the land around the villages was available for logging?
Yes, it's against the traditional way of life here. Suriname is the only country in South America who didn't recognize the right of the indigenous people and the maroon. And we have to fight for that, for the recognition. And we need the wood, we need the water, we need the forest. If you are not careful, you will lose this nature, and then our future, our children, has been lost.
That evening at an impromptu party, we experienced the undeniably African roots of our hosts. This is where we were staying last night, and we've got a little guest up here. I don't know if you can see it, but not only was there a massive spider in the house, there's this beautiful red and orange snake. Aymara? Aymara. Yeah. And if you think piranhas are dangerous, it's more of a myth compared to this one, which is ferocious. And it tastes good, yeah? Yam bom. Yeah, boom. Over the next few days, Hugo was to introduce me to the intricacies of Saramaccan culture.
No, this way. This for ladies. Really? You can't walk this way. This for the ladies.
Immersing myself in village life, I enjoyed the richness and simplicity of their seemingly idyllic lifestyle. The Saramaccans are a hard-working, self-sufficient people, well adapted over hundreds of years to living in this wild and remote place. The more Hugo showed me, the more I began to appreciate their way of life and how utterly reliant the tribe are on their ancestral lands.
This is the end product of this one.
That's a lot of work.
Yes, a lot of work.
Before I left, Hugo explained how local village leaders felt unempowered. Gathering to discuss the uncertainty of their situation, their frustration was obvious. All is not well in this area, it's apparent. Hugo was saying that huge concessions have been granted for this area and for the Grand Man or anyone to take away or sign away their land to potentially destroy this whole area is unacceptable. Reluctantly leaving my new friends,
How do you say goodbye?
we headed out on the next leg of our trip, an expedition to meet the ancient tribespeople of Kwamalasamutu. Taking us to the starting point of our long journey is one of the most colourful characters we'd meet in Suriname, Robert Overing.
Rocks against your wing.
A man whose reputation preceded him. We've been told that he flies like the devil, but takes you to heaven. And they weren't wrong. commented to Robert that his treetop skimming style of flying definitely brought us closer to nature. But he insisted that he could do better still. Getting closer to nature.
Cheeks were going.
It's amazing.
So this is the main section of our journey here in Suriname. We're at the dock, actually a sawmill in New Nakiri, loading the boat ready for a 6-week trip through the interior of the country. And this is the banks of the Confronting River. Now, at this point, the river is about 20 kilometres wide, and over there is Guyana. Aiming to win the respect of the tribespeople of Kwamalasamutu, we decided to travel there by traditional means. And joining us for this challenging expedition would be our old friend, Roberto Plom.
Very confident.
See you in Galibi.
This section of the trip is all about getting back to basics. We're leaving behind, I guess, the modern world. On this wide section of river, we pass many signs of industry, the wealth of the rainforest being carted out of the jungle on barges. And soon enough, we came across a huge abandoned logging company. Having threatened 10% of this country's forest, they'd lost their license due to international pressure. Now, in an ironic twist, their machinery has been reclaimed by nature.
So this is the Guyanese village of Oriello, perched on the bank of the Quarantine, on this beautiful bend in the river. We pulled in here late last night as the sun was setting. It was a bit of a surprise, actually. We were running a bit late, and rather than make a camp on the river, we thought we'd take advantage of the hospitality of these kind people.
Good. As the days passed, we headed deeper into the forest, the jungle chorus broken only by the drone of our engine. With the river traffic now far behind us, troops of howler monkeys dared to venture close to the water's edge. As we searched for a place to set up camp, we passed a small settlement, flooded, but not totally abandoned. It's day 3 on our journey towards the remote village of Kwamalasamutu.
And we wanted to stay on the riverbanks, but unfortunately, because it's been raining so heavily recently, there aren't any. So we decided to stay here at Cow Falls. Totally unexpected, in the middle of the river is a brand new ecotourist resort called Cow Falls. Apparently, at any other time of year, Cow Falls is a really beautiful location, but this time, it's absolutely flooded. That's the toilet.
Further upstream, we saw signs of the obstacles to come, in the form of froth on the water. This was just a foretaste, one that in no way prepared us for the struggle that lay ahead. A barrier much unchanged since it defeated Sir Walter Raleigh in 1597 as he searched for El Dorado, the Wanatobo Falls.
And this is where we've got to get out of the boat, because obviously we can't take it over here. And we've got to spend 3 days, or so we're told, dragging all of our belongings and the boat through the forest. We're going to see if we can find somewhere to camp, and then come back in the morning and somehow get up to the next section of the river. Wow.
Our base camp for the next 4 nights would turn out to be as flooded a sight as any we'd seen on this stretch of river.
This is the reception area, somewhere down there. This is the guest lodge, somewhere underneath there. And this is the palatial banana plantations where you can relax on your days in the sun. And the only way to get in to your luxury bungalow is to climb. Home sweet home.
With everyone hungry after a long boat ride, one of our crew caught our evening meal in the flooded reception area, using the most amazing fishing technique I've ever seen.
And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to find a place where we can take the boat into the banks of the river, where we can start to drag it through the forest. And it's not just forest, this is actually the densest jungle I've ever seen in my life. We're going to be wading waist high through water, crossing creeks, pulling it over the small mountains, I'll call them. But it's seriously going to be difficult. I don't know how we're going to do it. The boat is 35 foot long and it weighs 1.5 tons. Even if we're moving it 5 feet, it's going to be a miracle. I told you, it's going to be ridiculous.
Whilst the winching mechanism was set up, I ventured out with a small group to see what lay ahead.
How we're supposed to get it through here, I've got no idea.
I soon found that jungle wasn't going to be the only obstacle to our boat's passage upstream. Fast-flowing torrents seemed to present an insurmountable barrier.
I can actually feel this log moving.
How on earth would we drag our boat across this torrent when it was hard enough just standing up in it?
So there's no doing it, basically, Roberto?
No doing.
I mean, it looked like it might even rip the front of the boat off as well. Now, it's all very well to say, OK, we're going to drag a boat, 1.5 ton boat, through the jungle. And if there were any possible way to make it happen, we would, because we don't have any alternative. This is the sort of environment we're in. There's no roads, there's no people to call, there's no assistance anywhere. We're basically 300 kilometers up a little travelled jungle river in the middle of Suriname, in the middle of South America. The only way we're going to do it is by ourselves. And what we tried to do is get the boat up a very, very steep gradient, and it's 1.5 ton boat, 35 foot long, and it's just not happening at all. So the good news is, this morning we found a fisherman who told us about a guy with a tractor who could potentially help us pull the boat out of the water and take it through the forest along a 3-kilometre trail around the side of the falls on the Guyana side.
The tractor, a relic floated upriver long ago, came reluctantly out of hibernation to help us with our task.
That's the first obstacle over with, starting the engine. And now the big one.
tractor may have been our only option, but it certainly wasn't an easy one. The task of dragging the boat over land would be a 3-day endurance test, a haul over obstacles, getting stuck or bogged down in every conceivable way, drawing on the enthusiastic ingenuity, muscle power and determination of our entire crew. Pulling together for what I thought would be our last major obstacle, the team set about the back-breaking work of rebuilding an old makeshift bridge.
We've been doing it for 8 hours. This is the 3rd day, and there's about a day and a half to go.
Yes, man.
It's going to be a miracle if we get out of this one. It really is. So we made it.
Yeah, we did.
But at some cost.
Yeah, some cost, definitely.
I was just saying I was really concerned because we've broken the back off, the front off,
And the side.
and the side, and there's a hole in the
In the
bottom.
middle. Yeah.
But it's not a problem.
It's not a basic problem. Awite and Marcel will look at it tomorrow. And they're expert boatsmen, boat builders, so that's not so much a problem.
Thanks for that.
It's a write-off.
It's a write-off, basically, it is.
Cardboard and zinc plates seemed an unlikely solution. But what appeared to be a major problem to me was quickly being resolved by the skill of our crew. It took some fairly brutal remodelling, but with a few old tricks, they nursed our battered boat back to life. Fixed but not afloat, we eagerly put it to the test.
Now, the boat is floating at the moment, but we've got to put 1,000 kilos into it.
Fully loaded, it was nothing but sheer determination that saw us through the last kilometre of hostile swamp.
It's great to see the current, finally. And the oar breaks. Just outside of there is the feed-in to those massive rapids that we saw earlier. We've got to break out and go as fast as possible.
It had taken 6 days of intense struggle, but we were finally free from the grip of the forest. And just above the falls, we found our new camp, an abandoned mining barge.
I feel like a proper fisherman. And reeling a big one for all the guys for getting us through.
Now, sadly, I'm no fisherman, but the next morning, hunger wasn't our only problem.
The main engine in the boat is broken down early this afternoon.
And now we only have a 20 horsepower engine that's trying to power this boat through the water. And Suresh is trying to get us a duck.
Yum yum.
Yum yum. Babu shuti.
Yum bong.
Yum bong.
Bong.
How I wished it had been a boiling pan of fish.
You have to go out and hunt your food. If you're hungry, you have to find it. And because we're so delayed on our trip, because the falls took so long to get over, we've run out of supplies and everyone is really, really hungry. So as we were coming along the river today, we had to shoot a monkey. In fact, it's really difficult to look at without feeling violently ill.
Entering into the fast-flowing waters of the Upper Quarantine, our boatman frantically navigated a course between treacherous rocks that threatened to smash our boat at any second. With a lifetime of experience on the river, Aweti fearlessly checked the way ahead.
So after looking at the falls, Aweti's decided that it's a bit too dangerous to attempt it with all of the luggage. So what we're doing is unpacking everything here. Then we're going to have to carry it about half a kilometre over a small mountain. There go the hammocks. Over a small mountain, more jungle hacking action. And then a very small group, will drive the boat up over the rapids, which is guaranteed to be a really hairy experience.
This is upstream with a 40 horsepower engine in a boat that's already been broken 3 places. The front's been broken off, the back's been broken off, and it's been split down the side. If we hit a rock, it's going to be like a toothpick.
As we powered over the rapids, the submerged rocks sealed our fate. The propeller was smashed to pieces and we drifted dangerously out of control.
We got no engine and we're on rock.
We needed to secure the boat fast.
Yeah, I'd say I feel alive. Oh shit.
Seeing the danger confronting us, Lion, the youngest member of our group, swam frantically towards the riverbank in an attempt to secure a line that would save us from certain disaster. Thankfully, he succeeded. We were saved, but stranded.
Other than Karuni airstrip, there are no other villages. No villages, no settlements at all. Within a range of, say, 100 kilometers.
So it's just jungle.
It's just jungle. We're basically stuck proper.
There's no food. There's no way forward. But we can get over it. Engaged. Believe that.
Die is op zich geen moer waard, want die hand is helemaal kapot. Waarom?